Welcome back, students who are taking financial accounting. In this series of videos, we are working on the Chapter 5 theory, the concepts for Chapter 5, which covers inventory. And let's see here, we in the last video we did specific ID and average cost. So in this video, I'm going to talk about the FIFO and LIFO cost methods. This is theory, okay? And again, accounting is about understanding concepts and then being able to apply them. So if you don't understand these concepts, feel free to contact an instructor and we'll help you understand them. And when we're working through the homework problems, that's when we're applying this knowledge. And if you watch me, if you don't get the problem and you watch me work through the problem, that's the application part. If you still don't understand how that answer is arrived at, then obviously you have an issue with your theory and you need to come back and watch these videos. So the videos, you have the advantage of pausing, taking notes, rewinding, watching again. And like I said, if you still don't understand something, feel free to telephone an instructor and or email us and we'll help you understand it. Okay, now with the FIFO and LIFO, the other thing here is, like I had said in the first video there, this here stuff for Chapter 5 is pretty much a repeat of information of what was in, if you had math for business and finance. Let me get my pen here. Okay. If you had math for business and finance, Chapter 18 was about inventory. And this is the link that you can go to on the student community. On the student community, down the left-hand side, we have the business group. And down the left-hand side, we have the math for business / applications. And then, of course, you're looking at the financial accounting, okay, right now. So if you go up here to the math for business applications, you'll see the Chapter 18 videos, which, to be honest with you, I covered these concepts of specific identification, average cost, FIFO and LIFO pretty extensively. So I'm not going to be repeating everything that I covered there. Go back and watch those videos, all right, under Chapter 18 for the FIFO and LIFO. So I'm just going to give a brief, covering of it, of this subject matter from like an overall perspective. I'm not going to get into a lot of fine detail. So with that said, let me get started here. In those videos in Chapter 18, I presented the idea that when you want to think about FIFO and LIFO in terms of inventory, I presented the idea of, here was a refrigerator, okay, and there's the handle, okay, and if you go to the grocery store and let's say you buy 5 gallons of milk, and this here is just an analogy, it's a good example on how to be able to think about this. If you buy 5 gallons of milk at $1 each, all right, at $1, that means you bought $5 worth of inventory. Now when you open up the refrigerator, all right, let's say the refrigerator is completely empty, all right. Well, when you open up the refrigerator, and this is going to represent the door, right, being open, and in the refrigerator you have shelves, right? So if the refrigerator is empty and you stick and this is going to represent the 5 gallons of milk, okay? I know it's lame, but hey, I'm not an artist, all right? So if I open up the refrigerator and it's empty and I put the 5 gallons of milk in, they're the first ones that I put in, all right? Those are the first in, all right? Now, when I close the door, what's the value of the inventory in the refrigerator? Well, obviously, it's the $5. Now, I go the next day, and let's say I buy 7 gallons of milk. And this time when I buy them, the price went up to $2 each, okay? So the value of those 7 gallons of milk is $14. Now, here's the thing. When I open up the refrigerator, my mother always told me, make sure you rotate your food in the refrigerator, meaning you always use the oldest first, all right? Well, I'm not going to mess around with that. I mean, I opened up the refrigerator, there's 5 gallons, okay? I push the 5 gallons to the back, okay? And now in the front of them, all right, and this is going to represent putting them in the front, I'm going to put 7 gallons of milk, okay? So these 5 in the back, you know, they're in the back. They were the first ones in, okay? The 7 in the front, they're the last ones in, okay? That's where the FIFO and the LIFO come in. First in and last in, okay? So when I close the refrigerator door, the total value of the milk in my refrigerator is now $19. So I wanted a green pen there. Sorry about that. I want the value of my milk is $19. Okay, now let's say I'm going to use the milk. Okay, now the question is, now when I'm going to take out, we're looking at the idea of first out. Okay, well, let's say I need 6 of those gallons. Okay, so I have to take 6 out. Right? If I'm using the FIFO method, the first ones in are the first ones I'm going to take out. Well, then I'm going to take out the first ones I put in, which was from the group of 5 first, right? These are the first ones that I put in. So I'm going to take out the 5 from the back, and since that's 5, but I need 6, I have to take 1 more out of the front. Okay, so all that's left in the refrigerator then is 6 of them. Okay, so I had gotten rid of the 5 from the back, and out of the 7 I took 1 away, right? So I took 1 away, so that means now there's only 6 gallons of milk that were the ones from the front, right? And that means the value in the refrigerator now is 6 at $2 is $12 using FIFO. Okay, let me repeat that again. First ones in are the first ones we're taking out. When we need 6 gallons, no, they're the first out. Well, which ones are we going to take out first? The first ones in. That's why it's FIFO. So the first ones in were the ones in the back. All right, they're the ones I'm going to remove, and then I keep on removing from the front. I can do this all day long. I could put in 5 and push those to the back. I put in 7, push those to the back. Maybe I buy 4 more, and I just keep pushing everything to the back and putting more in the front. Right? But when it comes time to be taking them out, I have to take the first ones in out, which means I take the ones that are all the way in the very back, and I go forward. And whatever I have left over, in this case here, when I took away the 5 and I took away the 1, I have 6 left over. This is called my quantity on hand. Okay, that's my quantity on hand. Now, I'm going to write FIFO and the value of that 6 gallons of milk, right, is $12, right? Now, I didn't want to do that, but hey, we can fix that real quick here. Okay, now I'm going to look at LIFO, okay? Right, let me redo this here. Okay. Okay, now I had 5 gallons. All right, so now if I'm going to be using the LIFO method, okay, same thing's going to happen. When I buy 5 gallons, I'm going to put them in I look at the refrigerator, it's empty. When I buy 5, I put them in. When I buy 7, I push the 5 to the back and I put the 7 in front, right? So the ones that are in the back are still my first in, and the ones I put in the front are my last ones in. Now, if I'm using the LIFO method, okay, last in is the first ones I want to take out. So if I need 6 gallons, right, which ones am I going to take out? I'm going to take the last ones out. Okay, so I'm going to take out, the last ones I had put in are in the group of 7. So I have to take out 6 of them. So I take out this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one. Okay, so out of that group of 7, I'm going to take out 6, and that means I'm going to have 1 gallon still left over. Okay, if I have 1 gallon left over, the value of that 1 gallon is $2, right? And I still have the 5 gallons at $1, so that's 5. So the value of my inventory is $7 when I'm using the LIFO method. So when I'm using LIFO, the value of the milk is $7, okay, in this case here. So it's just basically the opposite thinking. What I have left in is still, I have 5 left in and the one at $2. That's my quantity on hand also, okay, and that is still 6 gallons. All right, so quantity on hand is what I have left in the refrigerator. Right, but notice, in this scenario, I started out with 5 gallons and 7 gallons, and then I took out 6, and it just, whichever method you're using will produce a different result. Okay, but the whole way to think about this is, first out means, what you're gonna, when you need something, they're the first ones you're going to take out. So the first out represents what you're taking out of inventory. The difference being between FIFO and LIFO is, which ones are you going to take. Remember, the first ones in for FIFO are the ones way in the back, and the last ones in for LIFO are the ones in the front. So if I had put in 5, and then I had put in 7, and I had put in 3, and then say I put in 4, and I need 8, right? Well, if I'm using FIFO, I'm going to take from the back, the first ones, the ones in the back. FIFO, first in. This was my first in. So I take out 5, and then I take out 3 of these 7, which means I still have 4 left. Okay, and that means my quantity on hand is now 4 and 3 is 7, and 4 is, I have 11 as my quantity on hand. Okay, so I take, for FIFO, I take the ones that were first in. Now for LIFO, see, I had 5 and 7. Okay, now for LIFO, it's just the opposite. Okay, which ones were the last ones in are the first ones I'm going to take out. Well, the last ones I put in were here. They're in the front of the refrigerator, so I'm going to take out 4. I'm going to take out 3, that's 7, and I need 1 more out of this group of 7, so I have 6 left. Notice my quantity on hand is still 11, right? I have 5 and 6 is 11. But depending upon the price of, these, that's going to change the value of the inventory. Now, I hope you have got that, because I'm going to, we have to look at an issue on the quantity on hand. Okay, let me erase this. Okay, now, but that's a simplistic way of looking at it. Now, let's go and think about a grocery store. A grocery store has, great big walk-in coolers and freezers, right? And they've got their shelves, right? And the shelves, have, their cartons of milk, right? Different types, orange juice, stuff like that, right? Okay, if you're an accountant or a bookkeeper, you're sitting in your office, and at the end of the accounting period, a physical inventory is done, all right? And the physical inventory, let's say the physical inventory says, in this walk-in cooler, we've got 25 gallons of milk, right? Well, on your books, right, you're going to show that you have 25 gallons. And it doesn't matter what the price is, all right, at this point in time. But here's the thing. As, as time goes on, people are going to be buying this milk, right? And the manager, he's going to go and he's going to say, okay, I need to order more, so he orders 25 more, okay? And, well, actually, I'm going to change up the numbers here. Let's say he orders 30 more, okay? And let's call this 1-1. Let's call this dated 1-7. And he puts them in the freezer because why? People are buying, right? Now you're in the office, and when you're in the office, you're going to get the invoice for those 30 gallons, so you're going to put them on your books, okay? And your books are going to show that at that time you have 55 gallons in the cooler, but you know there's not 55 gallons in the cooler because people bought milk, okay? And let's say the next week, the manager goes and buys 35 more, okay? So you're going to get the invoice, and now your books are going to show that you have 90 in the cooler, but you know there's not 90 in the cooler, okay? Because people were buying them. And then let's say on the 21st, he buys 40 more, okay? All right, so now you're at 130 is what you're showing on your books, but you know there's not 130 in the cooler because people are buying them. Maybe something was broken, maybe something was stolen, right? But now it gets to the end of the month, all right? And you have to do a physical inventory. Because why? You know, your books are showing 130, but you know there's not that many in the cooler. So you do a physical inventory, and let's say when you look in the cooler, let's say there are 35 in the cooler. 35 gallons are in the cooler. You know, that's your quantity on hand, right? Now, okay, excuse me there. Yeah, throat's getting a little dry. All right, so you have, you do a physical inventory and you have 35 in the cooler. All right, now this is where people get all confused. All right, because what they want to do is they want to say, okay, I have 35, and what they want to do is they want to say, okay, I want to get rid, if I'm using FIFO, they know they want to get rid, they think they need to get rid of the first ones in, so they take, they say, okay, I take off 25 here, and I still need 10 more, so I'm going to take 10 more out of this group of 30, and then I'm going to figure out the rest of the value of my inventory. That's wrong, right? The reason why is because, yes, this is your quantity on hand. And, you can do this two different ways, but the way I recommend that you become accustomed to thinking is that you go and you say, okay, I have to, which are the ones I had gotten rid of, okay? If your books show you have 130 and you have a quantity on hand of 35, all right, that means you have to take out 95, not 35. 35 is your quantity on hand. 95 is what was sold, right? They're the ones that are out. They're the ones that have been taken out. So you have to do this one extra calculation here in order to get this 95. Now you take the 95, and if you're using first in, first out, you come over and you say, okay, I get rid of the 25 here because they were the first ones in. I need, I can get rid of 30 more, right? Because 25 and 35 make 55. And if I have 95 less 55, that means I have to get rid of 40 more, right? Well, I could get rid of the 35 here, and that means I only have 5 left over that I have to take out. So out of this group of 40, I take out 5, and now I know that all I have in the cooler is my 35, which is my quantity on hand. So if I take the first ones out, whatever the price is for these ones that are dated 121, that's going to be the value of my inventory. So, if these ones from 121 were say $1 each, and I have 35 in there, that means the total value of my inventory is $35. Okay, but if I was using LIFO instead, let me get rid of these. Hopefully I did this good. Yep, I did it good. I'm still going to start out with, I still have to do the calculation that says, okay, my physical inventory said I have 35 on hand. I still have to do this calculation to say I have to get rid of 95. But when you're using LIFO, now I'm going to think about, remember the refrigerator, when you put them in and you push them to the back. Well, which ones, you push 25 to the back, then you put this 30 in the front, okay? And when you bought, let's see here, this was, 35 more. When you bought this 35 more, you pushed 25 to the back, you pushed 30 to the back, and you put the 35 in the front. And when you bought 40 more, again, you push to the back, push to the back, push to the back, and you put the 40 in the front. So when you have to get rid of 95, you start with the ones that are in the front because they're the ones that were the last ones in. So I'm going to get rid of the 40 when I'm using LIFO. I want green, right? You get rid of 40, that means you have to get rid of 55 more, right? You can get rid of 35. That means I have to get rid of 20 more. Well, I can take 20 out of this 30, which means I have now 10 more left, okay, from this group of 30. So my quantity on hand is this 25 plus this 10. And let's say this here 25 was at $2, and this group of 30 were at, say, 250, right? Well, then the value of my inventory would be 25 times 2 is 50, and then 10 times 250 is 25. So the value of my inventory would be $75 using the LIFO method. Okay, remember here we had 35 at 1 for the FIFO, which means the value of my inventory was 35. But yet when I was using LIFO, the value of my inventory was 75. And the reason why is because the milk was more expensive way back in the beginning of January than it was in the end of January. Okay, but what most, like I said, the thing that most students don't do is, they get the idea of push to the back, push to the back, push to the back, but when they do the physical inventory and they look at the quantity on hand, they want to use that quantity and say, okay, that's what I'm going to take out. All right. That's wrong. All right, no, that's what's left. Okay, and then the other thing that they do, and I don't want to confuse here, but just in case you happen to be making the mistake, you might be sitting there and you might be saying, okay, I know I have to get rid of this 95. Okay, but if and I know that I have 35 on hand. And so what they do is they say, okay, if I have 35 on hand and if I'm using first in, first out, they take the 35 and say, okay, well, I'm going to, because the first one's in, that they're the ones that I keep in, okay? And that's why I don't recommend thinking from that perspective. The whole idea behind first in, first out is this out. What is it you're taking out? And if you keep on thinking from the perspective of taking out, you're taking out 95, and whether you take it from the front or the back. If you start out with the quantity on hand and you start saying, okay, I know I need to keep in, right? Well, now people have a tendency to get their thinking backwards, okay? And they choose which ones they keep in from the wrong side, and then they, of course, get it wrong. So that's why I recommend just always thinking from the perspective of first in, first out, which means you have to calculate how many were sold when you have your quantity on hand. And when you have your quantities, how many you sold, that's, when you can decide whether you take from the back or you take from the front. And then all you need to do is just extend the amounts to get the value amount for the FIFO and LIFO. Okay. Again, these were covered again and in the math videos for Chapter 18 on the student community. I'm going to pop up the link here again. There's the link. Okay. You might want to go back and watch those videos if you want to take another look at it. I mean, I use basically the same analogy here in those videos, but I do present it in a different way, and I am presenting it for a second time. Again, this time around, I went through it relatively quickly, all right? I didn't, set up a nice, neat little scenario. So you might want to go back and watch those videos. And if you still don't understand something, this is theory. Watch the videos again. And if you read the book, okay, because remember, this is supplemental to the book, right? Read the book. And then if you still don't understand something, telephone and speak with an instructor, okay? Because it's not going to do you any good when you go to apply and you don't understand, all right? So if you don't understand, feel free to contact us.